There's a goose that has sent grown adults to the hospital, a bird that stamps snakes to death with its bare feet, and a vulture that dissolves bone with stomach acid strong enough to destroy a car battery. 15 birds most people walk past without a second thought, until it's too late. Some are hiding in city parks. Others are soaring over mountain ranges so high that commercial planes give them space. And number 1 has a wingspan so massive it blocks out the sun when it passes overhead. Get ready, because this list will change the way you look at every bird you've ever seen. Position 15, Malleefowl, the Australian engineer that builds a living thermometer the size of a small house and maintains it for decades. Most birds build nests. The Malleefowl builds a mound, not a small mound, a construction of sticks, leaves, sand, and soil reaching up to 15 feet tall and 35 feet wide. The largest nest structure of any bird on Earth relative to body size. And then it manages the internal temperature of that mound with a precision that rivals modern laboratory equipment. Found across the arid scrublands of southern Australia, the Malleefowl stands around 24 inches tall, weighs roughly 4.5 pounds, and spends up to 11 months of every year actively managing its incubation mound, adding or removing material daily to maintain an internal temperature of exactly 91 degrees Fahrenheit. It tests the temperature by inserting its bill into the mound like a thermometer, adjusting the structure accordingly. In summer, it adds insulating layers to block heat. In winter, it opens vents to let warmth in. A bird with no formal education solving a thermal engineering problem every single day of its life. In 2017, researchers monitoring a Malleefowl mound in Western Australia confirmed it had been continuously maintained by successive generations of the same family for over 40 years. Can you imagine spending 11 months a year managing a 35-foot mound? Have you ever heard of a bird this dedicated to temperature control? Comment below if the Malleefowl just completely changed your idea of what a bird can build. Position 14, Jacana, the tropical lily trotter whose males carry their chicks under their wings while their feet dangle in plain sight. The jacana walks on water, not metaphorically, literally. Its extraordinarily long toes distribute its weight across floating lily pads so effectively that it moves across pond surfaces as casually as most birds walk on solid ground. Found across tropical wetlands of Africa, Asia, and the Americas, the jacana stands around 9 inches tall, weighs barely 3 ounces, and carries those remarkable elongated toes that can span over 4 inches, longer than the bird's entire body width. But here's the fact that stops everyone cold. In jacana society, the females are larger, more aggressive, and hold territories, while the males incubate eggs and raise chicks entirely alone. When danger approaches, the male scoops the chicks under his wings, their tiny legs dangling visibly beneath his body, and walks calmly away while appearing to be a single bird. A walking disguise carrying a hidden family underneath. In 2020, a wildlife photographer in Uganda captured a male jacana crossing a flooded field with 4 chick pairs of legs dangling beneath his wings. The image winning 2 international wildlife photography awards and confusing millions of viewers who initially assumed the bird had a genetic deformity. Can you imagine carrying your children under your wings while their feet dangle below you? Have you ever seen anything this extraordinary at a tropical wetland? Tag someone who'd never believe those legs belong to hidden chicks. Position 13, Toucan, the colorful fruit lover hiding a bill so precisely engineered it functions as a biological air conditioning system. Everyone knows the toucan, that enormous, impossibly colorful bill. Featured on cereal boxes, tourist merchandise, and wildlife documentaries worldwide, has made it one of the most recognized birds on Earth. What most people don't know is what that bill actually does. Researchers at Brock University in Canada published a landmark study in 2010 confirming that the toucan's bill functions as one of the most sophisticated biological heat regulation systems ever documented in a bird. Blood flow to the bill increases dramatically when the bird is warm, radiating body heat outward through the bill's surface at a rate that can dissipate up to 60% of the bird's total heat production. God built an air conditioner into its face. Found across the tropical forests of Central and South America, the toucan stands between 20 and 25 inches depending on species, weighs between 10 ounces and 1.5 pounds, and despite that dramatic bill, which accounts for nearly a third of its total body length, actually weighs almost nothing due to its hollow internal structure. In 2018, a keel-billed toucan at a wildlife rescue center in Costa Rica was documented using its bill to dismantle a wire enclosure latch, escaping its enclosure 3 consecutive times before keepers replaced the hardware entirely. Did you know that bill was actually a cooling system? Would you have guessed something this colorful was this cleverly engineered? Share this with someone who thinks the toucan is just a pretty face. Position 12. Canada Goose, the city park resident that has sent hundreds of people to emergency rooms and genuinely does not care who you are. Make no mistake about this bird. The Canada Goose is not friendly. It is not peaceful, and it absolutely does not respect personal space, authority, private property, or the fact that you are significantly larger than it is. Found across North America, and now permanently established in parts of Europe, New Zealand, and Argentina. The Canada Goose stands between 30 and 43 inches tall, weighs between 6 and 14 pounds, and carries a wingspan reaching up to 73 inches. It is completely unafraid of humans, aggressively territorial around nesting sites, and will chase, strike, and bite any person, dog, or vehicle it decides is too close. Its wing strikes generate enough force to knock a child off their feet. Its bite, while toothless, grips with a serrated bill edge that tears rather than punctures. Emergency rooms across the northeastern United States treat documented goose attack injuries every single spring nesting season without exception. Isn't it wild that one of the most aggressive birds in North America lives in city parks and office building parking lots? Can you believe a goose filed someone into a workplace safety report? Drop a like if a Canada Goose has ever completely ruined your afternoon. Position 11. Masked lapwing, the Australian suburban bird with razor spurs on its wings that will dive bomb anything within 30 feet of its nest. The masked lapwing looks like an ordinary shorebird. Medium size, brown and white plumage, yellow facial mask. Nothing about its appearance suggests what it's capable of until you walk within 30 feet of its nest. Then everything changes immediately. Found across Australia, New Zealand, and parts of Southeast Asia, the masked lapwing stands around 15 inches tall, weighs roughly 11 ounces, and carries a sharp yellow spur on the bend of each wing. A genuine biological weapon used to strike, slash, and drive away anything it perceives as a threat. It nests on open ground, lawns, sports fields, rooftops, school playgrounds, and defends that nest with a ferocity completely disproportionate to its size. It will repeatedly dive bomb humans, dogs, cats, and moving vehicles. Its alarm call is loud enough to be heard from over a mile away, and it remembers specific individuals who have previously disturbed its territory. What makes it genuinely extraordinary is its complete indifference to human infrastructure. In 2019, a pair of masked lapwings successfully nested on the roof of a busy Melbourne shopping center, grounding helicopter deliveries for 3 weeks, while wildlife authorities waited for the chicks to fledge rather than relocate the nest. Can you imagine a bird shutting down a shopping center rooftop for 3 weeks? Have you ever been dive bombed by something with wing spurs? Comment if the masked lapwing just became the bird you're most nervous to encounter in a park. Position 10. Cockatoo, the most destructive bird ever kept in human homes that can dismantle furniture, wiring, and your entire sense of peace. The cockatoo is one of the most beloved pet birds on Earth. It is also, without question, one of the most destructive animals ever voluntarily brought into a human home. Found across Australia, Indonesia, and the Philippines, various cockatoo species stand between 12 and 24 inches tall, weigh between 10 ounces and 2.5 pounds, and carry those spectacular crests that raise and lower with their emotional state. They are extraordinarily intelligent, solving multi-step puzzles, using tools, and learning to mimic human speech with a clarity that regularly startles first-time visitors. That intelligence is exactly the problem. A bored cockatoo will systematically dismantle baseboards, electrical wiring, wooden furniture, window frames, and drywall with a beak capable of exerting over 350 pounds of pressure per square inch, stronger than most industrial pliers, applied with surgical precision to whatever structural element looks most interesting. In 2021, researchers in Sydney documented wild sulfur-crested cockatoos learning to open wheelie bin lids by watching each other, then teaching the technique to others across the city. The behavior spread between suburbs in under 18 months. Scientists called it cultural transmission. Residents called it something less printable. Isn't it something that God gave the most destructive pet bird also the most charming personality? Would you trust one alone in your living room for an afternoon? Tag someone who owns a cockatoo and knows exactly what this feels like. Position 9. Blue-capped ifrit. The tiny New Guinea songbird carrying the same deadly neurotoxin as a poison dart frog in every single feather. Small, blue-capped, completely unassuming at first glance. The kind of bird most people would walk past without a second thought in any forest anywhere in the world. And laced throughout every feather and patch of skin with batrachotoxin, one of the most potent neurotoxins produced by any animal on Earth. Found only in the montane forests of New Guinea, the blue-capped ifrit stands around 6 inches tall, weighs barely half an ounce, and acquires its toxins through a diet of specific toxic beetles, accumulating the poison in its tissues in a process almost identical to the hooded pitohui. Skin contact causes immediate numbness and burning. Sufficient exposure causes paralysis. What makes it genuinely extraordinary is how different it looks from anything dangerous. No bright warning colors, no dramatic markings, just a small, quiet forest bird that is chemically armed to a degree that should be impossible for something this size. Local Papuan communities have known about its toxicity for generations. Handling it exclusively with thick leaves or cloth never bears skin. Western science only confirmed the toxin in 2020 when researchers analyzing feather samples identified batrachotoxin concentrations comparable to those found in known toxic species. Can you believe something this small carries this level of chemical weaponry? Have you ever imagined a bird that looks this harmless being this dangerous to touch? Share this with someone who thinks small birds are completely harmless. Position 8. Wandering albatross. The ocean giant with the largest wingspan of any living bird that flies 5 million miles in a single lifetime. The wandering albatross has a wingspan reaching 11 feet and 6 inches, the largest of any living bird on Earth. And it uses every inch of that wingspan to do something no other bird attempts at the same scale. It circumnavigates the entire Southern Ocean, repeatedly, for decades. Found across the subantarctic and Southern Ocean regions, the wandering albatross stands around 4 feet tall, weighs between 13 and 28 pounds, and spends the first 6 years of its life without ever touching land, flying continuously over open ocean, covering up to 900 miles in a single day, using dynamic soaring techniques that allow it to fly almost indefinitely with minimal energy expenditure. Over a lifetime of 50 to 60 years, a single wandering albatross accumulates over 5 million miles of flight. That's equivalent to flying to the moon and back over 10 times. Without stopping, what completely surprises most people is how slowly it reproduces. A breeding pair raises a single chick every 2 years, the longest parental investment period of any seabird. Both parents alternate 60-day incubation shifts, flying thousands of miles to feed before returning to the nest. God built the most efficient long-distance flying machine in biological history, and then gave it the patience to match. In 2023, a satellite-tagged wandering albatross completed a full circumnavigation of the Southern Ocean in 46 days, covering over 14,000 miles without a single recorded rest on land. Can you imagine flying 14,000 miles without landing once? Isn't the wandering albatross the most extraordinary endurance athlete alive? Drop a like if this is the most impressive flying achievement you've ever heard of. Position 7. Southern ground hornbill, the African forest elder that lives 60 years, mourns its dead, and can shatter glass with its call. The southern ground hornbill's call is so deep and so powerful that it carries clearly through dense African bush for over 3 miles, and has been documented cracking thin glass windows in research stations at close range. The sound sits so low in frequency that it registers as a physical vibration in the chest before the ears fully process it as sound. Found across sub-Saharan Africa in open woodland and savanna habitat, this is the largest hornbill species alive, standing up to 3.5 feet tall, weighing between 7 and 13 pounds, and carrying an entirely jet-black body with vivid red facial skin and throat pouch that deepens to orange red in adult females. It walks the ground in family groups of up to 12 individuals, stomping, stabbing, and throwing prey items including tortoises, snakes, lizards, and small mammals with a bill strong enough to crack a tortoise shell. It has been documented killing and consuming puff adders without any apparent concern for the venom. What genuinely moves people is its social complexity. Groups maintain territories for life, grieve visibly over dead group members, and cooperate to raise young over multi-year periods. The oldest confirmed wild individual reached 65 years, longer than most humans in earlier centuries. In 2022, a southern ground hornbill group in South Africa's Kruger National Park was filmed standing silently around a deceased group member for over 2 hours before dispersing. Researchers described the behavior as one of the most compelling examples of avian grief ever documented. Isn't it something that God gave one of Africa's most powerful birds also one of its longest lives? Keep watching, because the most dangerous birds are still to come. Position 6. Griffin vulture, the Iberian bone crusher with stomach acid strong enough to dissolve anthrax and still ask for more. The griffin vulture's stomach acid has a pH approaching 0, among the most corrosive biological fluids produced by any vertebrate animal on Earth. Strong enough to destroy anthrax spores, botulinum toxin, and cholera bacteria that would be lethal to virtually any other animal that consumed them. Found across southern Europe, the Middle East, and parts of Africa, the griffin vulture stands around 3.5 feet tall, weighs between 13 and 26 pounds, and carries a wingspan reaching nearly 9 feet. It soars on thermal updrafts at altitudes exceeding 6,000 feet, scanning enormous areas of terrain simultaneously with eyesight sharp enough to spot a carcass from over 4 miles away. That extraordinary stomach chemistry isn't just impressive, it's ecologically critical. By consuming carcasses contaminated with diseases that would devastate other animals, the griffin vulture functions as a biological sanitation system for entire ecosystems. Its absence has been directly linked to disease outbreaks in regions where populations have declined. In 2021, a GPS-tagged griffin vulture in Spain completed a single foraging flight covering over 370 miles in 11 hours, the longest single-day foraging distance ever recorded for this species. God designed the griffin vulture to clean up everything other animals leave behind, and armored its digestion to handle whatever that involves. Isn't it incredible that one bird's stomach chemistry protects entire ecosystems from disease? Can you think of a more essential animal hiding behind a less glamorous reputation? Comment if the griffin vulture just completely changed how you think about vultures. Position 5. Eurasian eagle owl, the European night predator with eyes that see in near total darkness and talons that crush a fox's skull instantly. The Eurasian eagle owl is the largest owl on Earth, and it sits at the top of the nocturnal food chain across an area covering 32 countries. Found from Western Europe through Russia, the Middle East, and Central Asia. It stands up to 28 inches tall, weighs between 3 and 10 pounds, and carries those extraordinary orange eyes, each one nearly the size of a human eye, fixed forward in an immovable skull that the owl compensates for by rotating its head 270 degrees. Its hunting record is extraordinary by any standard. It preys on foxes, young deer, herons, other large raptors, and has been documented killing and consuming peregrine falcons, the fastest animal on Earth, at their own nest sites. Its talons generate a gripping force exceeding 500 pounds per square inch, closing at a speed that leaves prey with essentially no reaction time. What most people don't realize is that the Eurasian eagle owl has attacked humans near nest sites with enough force to cause hospitalization. In 2019, a Norwegian orienteer was struck twice on the head by a nesting female during a nighttime competition, requiring emergency treatment for lacerations before the race could continue. In 2022, a wildlife survey confirmed breeding Eurasian eagle owls living permanently within the city limits of Rome, nesting on ancient Roman ruins and hunting through the city's parks at night. Can you imagine running through a forest at night and getting struck by something this powerful? Isn't it wild that the world's largest owl is living inside one of Europe's most visited cities? Tag someone who needs to know the world's biggest owl is hunting through ancient Rome after dark. Position 4. Stellar sea eagle. The heaviest eagle on Earth that hunts salmon heavier than most house cats and rules the Pacific coast of Russia. The stellar sea eagle is not the largest eagle by wingspan, not the most famous, not the most widely distributed, but it is by confirmed body weight the heaviest eagle alive on Earth, and one of the most visually commanding birds ever photographed. Found along the coastal regions of northeastern Russia, Kamchatka, the Sea of Okhotsk, and the Korean Peninsula in winter, it stands over 3 feet tall, weighs between 11 and 20 pounds, and carries a wingspan reaching 8 feet. That massive, bright yellow bill, the largest and most powerful of any eagle species alive, can slice through frozen fish and crack through ice-covered carcasses with a force that leaves marks in hard bone. Its primary prey is salmon, intercepting fish at river mouths and coastal shallows in the same hunting grounds shared with brown bears. Documented confrontations between stellar sea eagles and brown bears over salmon carcasses have been resolved in the eagle's favor on multiple recorded occasions. In 2021, a lone stellar sea eagle appeared in Alaska, the first confirmed individual ever recorded in North American territory. It remained for over a year, traveling thousands of miles across the continent before eventually disappearing. Wildlife authorities tracked it as the most closely monitored vagrant bird in American birding history. Can you imagine an eagle powerful enough to hold its ground against a brown bear over a salmon? Isn't it something that the heaviest eagle on Earth decided to take an unscheduled trip across an entire continent? Just wait until you see the last two, because we're finishing with legends. Position 3. Secretary bird. The African savanna assassin that stamps venomous snakes to death with kicks faster than the eye can follow. The secretary bird kills snakes by stomping on them, repeatedly, with a force 15 times its own body weight. Delivered at speeds exceeding 25 milliseconds, faster than a human eye can track and faster than any venomous snake can strike in self-defense. Found across sub-Saharan Africa's open savannas and grasslands, the secretary bird stands nearly 4.5 feet tall on those extraordinary long legs, weighs between 5 and 9 pounds, and walks up to 20 miles per day actively hunting. It targets cobras, puff adders, black mambas, and other venomous species specifically, stunning them with initial strikes before delivering the rapid-fire stomping sequence that terminates the encounter. Its long legs are not just useful, they're protective. Covered in thick scales that resist snake fang penetration, they allow the bird to engage venomous prey at striking range with minimal risk of envenomation. What most people find genuinely hard to process is how it combines that lethal ground hunting capability with full-powered flight. A bird that walks 20 miles and kills black mambas can also soar on thermals at over 4,000 feet, covering territory that would take a ground predator days to cross. In 2020, high-speed camera research published in Current Biology confirmed that secretary bird stomping strikes are the fastest limb movements ever recorded in a bird, reaching impact forces equivalent to 5 times the bird's body weight in under 1/10 of a second. Can you believe a bird kills black mambas faster than the snake can react? Isn't the secretary bird the most unexpected apex predator on the African savanna? Share this with someone who thought Africa's most dangerous birds all had wings built for speed. Position 2. Bald eagle, the American icon that was nearly wiped out and came back more powerful than ever. In 1963, wildlife surveyors completed a nationwide count of bald eagle nesting pairs in the continental United States. The result was 417. The national symbol of the most powerful nation on Earth was functionally disappearing. Poisoned by DDT, accumulating through the food chain, and thinning eggshells so severely that nesting pairs crushed their own eggs under their own weight. The recovery that followed rewrote the history of American conservation permanently. Standing nearly 3 feet tall with a wingspan reaching 7.5 feet and weighing up to 14 pounds, the bald eagle has always commanded attention. That white head and tail against dark brown body, those piercing yellow eyes capable of spotting fish moving beneath the water surface from 300 feet above. Its talons generate over 400 pounds of pressure per square inch. It carries prey weighing up to 4 pounds in sustained flight. And it has been documented displacing osprey, great horned owls, and other large raptors from their own catches through direct aerial confrontation. After DDT was banned in 1972 and federal protections were fully enforced, the population climbed year by year. Today, over 10,000 nesting pairs soar across the continental United States. In 2020, a bald eagle nest in Florida was measured at 10 feet wide and 20 feet deep, accumulating over 2 tons of material across decades of continuous use. The largest bird nest ever recorded in North American history. Isn't it something that America nearly lost its own national symbol and then refused to let it go? Can you think of a more powerful comeback story in the history of wildlife conservation? Comment if the bald eagle's recovery genuinely gives you hope for every other endangered species on Earth. Position 1. Andean condor, the largest flying bird in the Western Hemisphere that soars higher than most helicopters and has been sacred for over 5,000 years. 10 feet and 2 inches. That's the wingspan of the largest confirmed Andean condor ever officially measured. 10 feet and 2 inches, wider than a full-size pickup truck, is long, carried by a bird weighing up to 33 pounds in sustained flight at altitudes exceeding 18,000 feet. Higher than most helicopters are rated to operate. Over the peaks of the Andes, riding thermals that carry it hundreds of miles without a single wing beat. Found along the entire length of the Andes mountain range, from Venezuela and Colombia south to Tierra del Fuego, the Andean condor is the national symbol of 6 South American countries simultaneously. It appears on the coats of arms of Colombia, Ecuador, Bolivia, Chile, Peru, and Argentina. No other bird on Earth holds this level of official recognition across this many sovereign nations. For the Inca civilization, it was the messenger of the gods, the living connection between the human world and the divine. Andean communities across 5 countries still maintain ceremonies in its honor today. Over 5,000 years of continuous cultural reverence for one single bird. With fewer than 10,000 individuals remaining in the wild, it is classified as vulnerable. The same pesticide contamination and lead poisoning that devastated the California condor having taken a similar toll on its South American counterpart. Recovery programs across all 6 range countries are working to stabilize populations. God created the Andean condor to rule the highest and most dramatic landscape on Earth, and gave it a wingspan to match every mountain it crosses. Can you imagine standing on an Andean peak and watching something with a 10-foot wingspan pass silently overhead? Isn't the Andean condor the most majestic proof that God saved his grandest designs for the highest places on Earth? This is hands down the most awe-inspiring bird on this entire list, and there was never any other choice for number 1. So guys, which of these 15 birds made you want to keep a safer distance the next time you're outdoors? From the deceptively aggressive Canada goose hiding in city parks to the Andean condor ruling the highest peaks on Earth, every single one of these birds is proof that God packed extraordinary power and purpose into creatures most people walk past every day without a second thought. Whether it's the secretary bird stomping black mambas faster than the eye can follow, the cockatoo dismantling your living room with surgical precision, or the wandering albatross flying 5 million miles in a lifetime. The natural world never runs out of ways to completely humble us. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss what we bring you next. Comment below which birds surprise you the most. Your feedback shapes everything we create here. And if you haven't watched our last video yet, the one where even eagles fear a deadly bird, go check it out right now. The link is in the description and on screen. You will not regret it. The animal kingdom never stops amazing us. Until next time, guys, and thanks so much for watching.